Good good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it is for you, it is Saturday. Is today Saturday? Yeah, today is Saturday. Got this bed looking in a way that it ain't gonna look for a while. It's one of those weighted blankets, and those of you who are already drivers, you know making a semi-truck bed is already a challenge in and of itself. But when you've got a heavy cooling weighted blanket, man, it really takes it out of you. Um, but I'm pretty much ready to go. I've got just waiting on one load of laundry. And I do one or two chores before I head out. I'm set up with load. So in this video, I want to talk about the Prime Kool-Aid and all the buku bucks and just the Prime world on YouTube is hot. It's hot. I mean, there's some slander and libel out there, and it's hot, man. It's a world that has dramatically changed in terms of Prime Inc. In the almost 7 years that I've been driving for Prime Inc. Just weird vibes out there. But anyway, talk about the Prime Kool-Aid, the money, all that good stuff here shortly. Be right back. Okay, what's up, everybody? Eric here, Driveline World's OK steering wheel holder. That phrase is going to change in July, which would be kind of interesting. I've been using that phrase, I think, for 5 years. But yeah, that's going to change, as well as a lot of other changes happen on the channel. So you'll see those in the near future. I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, it is like 6:30 on Saturday right now. I filmed a video yesterday that I'm going to have to refilm probably tomorrow or the next day, because I just didn't have enough light. And I don't know, I had light at the very beginning of it, and then the light went down and I didn't turn one of my inside lights out. So half of it, you literally can't see anything. So I was super bummed. I was like, well, maybe I could just put visuals over it. But you guys know when I'm like in the truck, I don't like to edit anything. So I'll redo that one. But in this one, man, the social media environment when it comes to Prime Inc. is just hot right now. It's hard to put it into words. It's just hard to put it into words. You know, there was a video that went up firing at me this morning, and there was some slander and libel mentioned in it. And, you know, it's okay. I don't get worked up about that kind of thing. You guys know I've had YouTubers come after me for years, and it just doesn't, it is what it is. It's all part of it. But I think in the broader scheme of things, and it's not just that video. I mean, there's other, I've been mentioning a few videos, and I think one of the reasons, now not in that one particular, but one of the reasons I think I'm being brought up in a few of these other channels is that I'm kind of you've got Lyle over there, No Hippie Trucking Transportation, and he's got, he doesn't mention Prime that much more, not much anymore. So there's a whole bunch of Prime YouTubers, but the vast majority of them that are currently at Prime are pretty small channels. There's only like less than 5 that I would say are up in that 2,000-3,000 or more subscribers that are left at Prime. So those of us that are left at Prime are kind of targets right now. It's like we're being called Kool-Aid drinkers just because we're not grinding the axe. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. But it was interesting in that last video I did, there were some pretty crazy accusations in the comments, one of which I found really intriguing, especially because this is someone who's followed my channel quite some time. I've been accused in the last 24 hours of being a Prime Kool-Aid drinker, which is fine. I've been accused of that for, the whole time I've been on YouTube. But also, it was mentioned in the comments yesterday that my channel specifically is one of the channels that misleads about the amount of money that you're going to make when you come to Prime. And I found that pretty, I found that interesting, because those of you who watch the channel for years, that you can probably count the number of times that I've mentioned what I actually make in any context on one hand, probably, that I can think of. I don't think I can't think of too many instances where I've mentioned any kind of a dollar amount or anything like that. Now, I've mentioned how good the COVID years were for me as a team truck, just as a generalization, quite a bit. I one time recently, I want to say a couple months ago, mentioned that I had a almost $8,000 gross week, not net, gross week on this truck. And I think I may have mentioned what I expected my net to be in that, but I also made it very clear in that video that that was unique for that week, and all the stars were aligned, and you can't count on that being on the regular, right? But I can't think of, when has this channel ever said you're going to make any amount of money? I haven't even used referral code or referred anybody to Prime in well over a year. I think I don't put my referral code anywhere. I don't put it down in the description. I don't put it at the beginning of the videos. I don't say come to Prime. Also, don't say don't come to Prime. But that to me was really interesting, and that comment was made in context of, well, I had a higher expectations because of channels like yours that talk about the money that you're going to make at Prime. I don't talk about the money you're going to make at Prime. It's not. I just don't. In fact, here's what I talk about. What I talk about is it's a roll of damn dice. That's what I say. I've known drivers that have come in and had a lemon truck, and that lemon truck is just, and they never made money. They went 6 weeks and never made money and got flushed out of the system, got flushed out of trucking, as a matter of fact. So it can happen. And you could get stuck in bad lanes. You could have, I knew a company driver. This was a couple years ago. I knew a company driver that got stuck right out of training up in the Northwest and didn't make money, or didn't get a check more than $200 or $300 for 8 weeks straight, and quit. And I think I've talked about that on YouTube. So, this channel in particular has been pretty, I've been pretty blatantly honest about, here's what I've said about Prime, at least in the last couple years. Prime is a great place to come get your CDL. It's a great place to spend a year learning lanes. And it can be, although it's getting more and more difficult, but it can be a place where you can have a prolonged career and you can make some money in trucking. Can be. But what I've said is you need to come in with a plan, and you need to have milestones, and you need to be ready for that plan to be wrecked too. Because it can be. Mine was, you guys know, 2 years ago, I was financially devastated. Just made some bad decisions, ordered too many trucks, did too much at once, and it was devastating. I mean, we were broker than I've been in a long time for a good 6 months. So I've had my ups and downs. I've had my plans derailed, but I continue to innovate and, create new plans. I've been out here on the road for 2 years, got back in a truck and just grinded it out to try and get back on top, and have plans that I'm following now. Right. But you got to don't just come in and I'm just going to land at this company and I'm going to be happy and I'm going to make all this money, because it may not happen. But I just found that comment interesting, because I've not ever I've not ever said you're going to make X amount of dollars. It's not like some, these trailers with the big orange letters on the back that say $2,500 guaranteed weekly pay for drivers or something like that. I've never made any claim like that. In fact, it's been quite the opposite. So, but I think this goes to a larger problem, and I don't know if I would imagine it's a larger problem throughout trucking, is that expectations get set up here and then the reality is down here, especially in this economy. And I've seen some new YouTubers at Prime talking about how good the money is, and they're talking about what their first settlement was and their second settlement and third settlement, etc. And I kind of cringe at that, because those brand new drivers, and I get that they're trying to be transparent. They want to show that they want to share their story and say, hey, here's what I made when I came out of training. But when you're new like that, you have no idea what it's going to feel like when you get knocked upside the head in one of the valleys that come in trucking. And I wonder if they're going to share that side of it on their channel. You know what I mean? Like I have, because I've shared the ups and downs, the goods and the bads and all that stuff. And I've warned you and I've told you for years that you're going to have both. And you need to have your expectations down here so that when they're higher than that, you can build on those exceeding expectations. Don't set your expectations up here. Don't see some YouTuber or someone posting on social media saying you're going to make, here's what your expectations should be. Because when you come in for a year or a year and a half and your expectations are down here, then you're going to be upset. Then you're going to feel ripped off. So, I just find that interesting. And then on the Kool-Aid side, half the time I'm accused of drinking the Prime Kool-Aid, and then the other half the time I'm accused of being too hard on Prime. So, and I've said this countless times, I feel like I'm kind of right where where I should be, because I'm right where my experience is. Half the time it's amazing and incredible and I'm happy with what's going on, and the other half the time I'm like, what is actually going on? That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'll be honest with you guys, right now is a very difficult time. We were having a conversation, I think with 6 or 7 drivers this morning while I was starting my laundry. Right now is a interesting, difficult time with Prime. And I mentioned it in that last video, but I just don't feel like, and you can go watch the last video on the channel, the one before this one. And maybe this is because I came to Prime at a time when it was peak. You know what I mean? It was peak in terms of its engagement and interaction with the driver community. It was peak in how we felt like our opinions and our thoughts were valued and mattered. And so when I'm comparing the vibe now to the vibe 6 years ago, it's night and day. And I don't know if it feels that way for someone who's just now coming into Prime, because this is the only Prime they know. So I'm not sure how that would feel I think to someone who's new, who doesn't feel what we felt 6 years ago, if they come in and they're new and they go through the kind of valleys that you can go through in trucking, I can see how they would have no loyalty to stand on. They would have no foundational, value system to be like, well, this is okay because of. That's just going to be their experience. I can see how that could happen. For me, and looking at it now, I'm just like, what is going on, man? What is going on? I don't understand it. I don't understand how we kind of feel. This is probably a bad comparison, especially if you've served. And if you served, I obviously very much appreciate your service. And I'm not trying to make a comparison here to what you've done in your service this country at all. So please don't take this that way. But in an analogy I could say it's kind of like being dropped into a jungle in a hot war zone. And then when you get when you get on the ground, you realize that that pallet of stuff that was supposed to come out of the plane behind you didn't arrive on the ground. And the backpack that the guy next to you has with the radio on it, the radio doesn't work. That's how it kind of feels out here running freight for Prime. I don't know if that's the case elsewhere in the trucking industry because I only have experience with Prime, but that's kind of how it feels. I have a great fleet manager. I have a great team at night, and they're great, but I'm talking about just in the whole scheme of things, that's how it feels. And I feel like for the last 6 months, there's been lots of warnings about that. It's been, in Friday safety meetings or what have you. Like there's been lots of, hey, this is going on. There's starting to be this sort of animosity. There's starting to be this brewing negativity within the driver community and all that stuff. And it just kind of was brushed off like that. That's what it seems to me. It's kind of been brushed off for the last 6 months. And honestly, what's happening right now across the board is just a result of just not really giving that any proper attention, or at least apparently not. Because now it's just, like I said, it is just hot. You got everybody turning on everybody. I think I said a few weeks ago that the culture is in the toilet because there's no more waving. There's no more, like, you don't feel the camaraderie. You don't feel in it together, in it to win it. Now it's not only that, it's like people cutting each other down. You know what I mean? And I don't like to do that. That's why in that video, I didn't mention names. I don't like to do that. I don't like to go try to, it's just tough. But, the video that was put up, I'm not going to link to it or mention it. I honestly didn't even watch more than like 45 seconds. I had seen all I needed to see. But someone sent me something that was said later in that video, which was slanderous, and there's some libel there. And the fact that that would even happen is kind of like, gosh, how did we get here? How, you really got to just step back and think, how was this, all of this could have been avoided, man. Remember when I talked about Roadrunner, is it Nia or Naya? When she made, I thought, a very legitimate video with some of her concerns with the carrier she was pulling, Prime. And I thought they were very legitimate. I didn't say or think that anything could or would be done about it, but I was like, hey, these are just like, she's just expressing some concerns, right? And that was before she went on a full warpath, because those concerns that she expressed clearly weren't addressed. And not only were they addressed, more things came up after that. And not only did she leave Prime, which she was planning for a while, but not only did she leave Prime, she left Prime just unloading. And that's what's happening like across the board right now. It's wild. And it's not just people unloading, it's people naming names and really going on the attack on a very personal level. And that's just wild to me, man. It's wild that we're here, but that's where we are, So all that said, I'm getting ready to go drink the Prime Kool-Aid and make the buku bucks. Right now, I'm just trying to make any kind of money. I'm actually in the hole, which is not very common for me, but I'm in the hole because there were some repairs and tires and stuff like that before I went home, but I had to go home, I had things to do. So I've been home for just over 3 weeks, and I'm coming out in the hole, but I did get a pretty killer load that is probably single-handedly going to get me out of the hole by the next pay period. So I'm just waiting on my clothes to dry. I'm waiting on this rain to stop because I got to go put a cover on the Starlink before I leave, just in case hail comes up over the next couple weeks. So as soon as that's done, I got to go pick up an empty trailer, get that dropped, and then this evening I'll go pick up that load. Unless it's ready this morning. If it's ready this morning, I'll go ahead and run it. Not far, but I'll run it a little bit. So going to ease right back into it. This is Campaign Echo that's being kicked off here. and I'm probably going to be out for roughly 3 weeks. Probably. I did get my truck nice and cleaned up. I got a lot of stuff off of it. I do have way too many clothes on it. That's aggravating me. But I don't do laundry on the road. Haven't done laundry on the road since we were a team truck. So I also don't want to not have enough clothes. But I feel like I have way too many clothes. I just want to be as minimal as possible in here. And in terms of things that I actually use, just gear, equipment, and stuff like that, I've got it right at what I'm going to need and no more. But I did bring too many clothes. It is what it is. All right, guys. Happy Saturday. If you're watching this after Saturday, happy whatever day it is. Be safe. Make good decisions. Always drive, thrive. Talk to y'all soon.